Oh, Barbara Barbara. Here's my yeah, that's about it.
That's it. That's all I needed, Hayes. I love it. That was amazing. Every morning for your daughter? No.
Every morning in the car, she always asks to sing ba, and it's turned into Barbara Ann. Now she's fully jamming the whole way to school.
I love
And
it. That's amazing. All right. Welcome to the show. We had a little bit of technical issues there, but we solved it. It's all good. Where are you? You're in Montreal?
yeah,
Okay.
beautiful sunny Montreal today.
Yeah. It's not cold yet. You guys haven't gotten a typical Montreal winter yet.
It was 21 today, so we're great.
It's weird, eh? The West Coast is getting a bunch of rain and it's starting to get chilly, which I love because they've been boasting how warm and beautiful it's out west. And I'm like, whatever, you Vancouver people.
Oh, yeah. We're normally it's cold by now, but
That's what I
it's
figured.
nice.
I know.
No complaints.
No complaints. We're going to enjoy it. All right. Hayes Nulman is on the show today. We're talking, I guess it's Hayes Nulman design.
Yeah,
Okay, and then your position, you gave yourself the position of director. That's how we're going to
yeah.
call it, director, captain, the capitan. That's what it's going to be, man. The big chief. www.hn.design. Just design. No .com, no .ca, just .design. To reach you is info@hn.design, and on Instagram it's Hayes Nulman Design. We're going to talk a lot about design and furniture and commercial space, residential,
Commercial millwork, pretty
millwork,
much.
all kinds of stuff, man. You've been doing it for a decade now. You're a young cat, man. Like, how old are you?
32.
Yeah, you're a baby, man. I'm 50, dude. I could be your dad. It's like, I'm getting up there in age, man.
It happens, but like I feel like I have the body of a 6-year-old and a 32-year-old's body, so it's a weird setup.
I want to do a little shout out to Joe St. Angelo for giving me the t-shirt, Tip Top Exteriors. He does a lot of amazing siding work out in the greater Niagara area. Thank you so much, Joe, for the tee. And that's about it for the shout out. So right now we're going to have a really interesting show. I want to talk about design and I want to get into your whole world. Where did it all start, Hayes? Or like, where did it all begin there?
Since I was a kid, I kind of wanted to do this, build things, be involved in construction, and coming from a background of people that were never in it, so it was kind of a weird entry.
You're the lone
Uh,
gunman? Nobody else in the family?
no,
Nothing?
my dad asked me to hang pictures on the wall,
Well, does
and
your
so
dad have a DeWalt? Is that what he's using?
no,
No. All right.
no, only me. But that's a whole other story.
I know. I'm fascinated because usually it's passed down, right? Usually there's uncle, dad, somebody, mom, somebody in the business that's kind of saying, "Okay, get into it, get into it."
Yeah, no, as a kid, I was always interested in people working in the house and like what they did, how they fixed it up. And high school, I started installing windows with a company, and then I kind of wanted to do furniture and more carpentry and like stuff like that. So I bought a few tools, had it set up in my garage, kicked my parents out of the garage, and kind of created a small workshop there, and really didn't build much other than some shoe cabinets and like pretty much nothing. But it sparked the interest, passion, found a school for it, then picked up welding, went to cabinetry school, and left there and realized that worked in the industry for a bit, for a pretty large shop for a few years, like all throughout school. And then from there, I realized that I'm not one to be in a company, and I kind of want to run the show.
Do it
So
yourself.
started out from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I want to ask you, what school did you go to? It was there.
Oh, I went to École nationale de meubles et Ministrie.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
I know. I know.
So basically, it's National School of Furniture Making and Cabinetry. It's a 4-year, no, a 3-year deck, collegial degree here in Montreal,
Pretty
and
serious, huh? It's a pretty serious school.
pretty serious school. Most of the guys graduate there. They end up working for Bombardier in like custom airplanes and building out the cabinetry and millwork for interior of the jets, or doing or doing drafting controls and stuff like that.
Wow. So, all what, the first class or any of the cabins? Doesn't matter. Just anything that's millwork wise for the planes.
Yeah, typically you're building out custom jets like for
Oh, so
oh
serious.
yeah, no,
Oh, okay.
super
I'm not there yet.
custom.
I'm not there yet. I'm not.
The
Yeah.
$85 million planes that people buy and spend a fortune on fitting out with fancy veneers on top of the it's a aluminum honeycomb. And then a bunch of other guys go into industry like what we're doing, which is commercial millwork, which Quebec's actually a pretty big hub, I think,
It is.
of it.
It is. Yeah.
Because we have a bunch of companies here and we all like we talk to each other and we all do projects in the States and like we're kind of fulfilling a lot of demand in North America, at least from what I see
Yeah, for
from
sure.
my
I
peers here.
I was there in January. I was there with the Doska boys, and then we were doing. There was another millwork company. Starts with a V. They were there, and they were talking a lot of stuff that they do, and also they service the Americans as well. They get a lot of stuff made here for down there.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So that was school, and then I want to ask you in the garage, what was the very first thing you built?
First thing I built was a shoe cabinet
Out
out of
of what? For whom?
3/4 inch MDF for myself with doors that flipped open. They would tilt open.
Yeah.
And yeah, thing was fucking heavy.
Was it? How
Oh
did you
yeah.
build it? What was the construction like for that thing?
I did dados for pretty much everything
Yeah.
and just kind of glued it together with glue and screw with dados, and the thing was bomb proof. It was incredible, but it was heavy. I did a full 3/4 inch back, full 3/4 inch sides going up. I didn't know what I was doing, so I just completely overbuilt
What
it.
size was it? How big did you make it?
I did 8 feet long by 4 feet high. Like
Oh,
I went
oh,
ham.
you went heavy. You went serious. How many
Oh
shoes did you
yeah.
fit?
What?
How many shoes did you fit?
My whole family's, all four of us.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't even think I fit everyone's, but yeah.
And that was, and how did you mount it? Just screwed it to the wall kind of thing? That's it, done. It
Yeah,
can't
so
fall.
I realized after I built it that I had to put a screw into a wall to so it doesn't tip over.
Otherwise, you take a shoe and you get a casket.
Otherwise, you open up that door and all the shoes were kind of hinged on that door, and
Yeah.
you would open it, it would just fall right over and
Ah.
almost kill someone. But that's the whole thing.
So that was the very first thing. And then that sparked you to do what? More of those? Somebody else asked for it. And then it went from there.
That sparked me to figure out what the fuck I was doing,
Yeah.
and I started doing. I built like night tables for myself, but basically, then I moved out, outfitted my whole condo with furniture, with night tables, bed, desk, and yeah.
You didn't buy anything. You just bought material and built it.
I bought material, built it. I had an IKEA bed that was the only thing I ever bought, but I modified it and I had
Of
to
course.
fix the drawers probably about several times.
Of course, as you
Yeah.
would. As
Yeah.
the camshaft, whatever turn things were rattling out of it, and that's it
Yeah.
falling apart. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, well, and then yeah, and then I started pretty much out on my own after, and it's been a weird journey.
How is that? Because I know that you weren't. You were saying that you weren't built for working for somebody else, and you were basically just leading down the path to go on your own and build your own brand. How was that step? Was it a difficult one, or was it a pretty simple one, just to move out of there and go to here?
Um, I realized that I was too ambitious for my age and how people would perceive me. Like not to be like sound like an asshole or
No, no, of
pretentious or
course.
anything, but
Yeah.
like back then I feel like I was just too ambitious and like I wanted to run things and I want to go and like I had drive, I had passion. Like I see the mature guys my age, like that are 20 in their 20s. Actually, we just hired a really mature 23-year-old welder this week, and they're few and far between. And realistically, like I understand, and I felt it then that I just wasn't suited to stay there much longer and like really like be taken seriously, and like I had another 10 years of dues to put in and I didn't have patience, which was a blessing and curse because then I started out on my own in a small garage and
You just
had a
go.
bunch of tools,
You just
bought a bunch
go.
of tools and just went and took residential high-end furniture that I completely undersold, underpriced.
As you would, Hayes, honestly, you don't have any
As you
idea
would,
what the
work six,
price.
14,
Yeah.
16 hours a day. And then I got lucky because my landlord owned restaurants. And then he kind of push me in like, hey, could you do this instead of rent? Could you build this restaurant for me? So
I love it.
like,
Instead of rent, can you build me this?
yeah. And so by the time then, and we were already like two people in the shop, and we started. I got help from a friend that was basically like renting space for me and giving me a helping hand, and we built out a restaurant, and then fell in love with that part of the game of the adrenaline rush. The you have 6 weeks to do something crazy, and then you pull it off, and it's great. It's good, and yeah.
So I got some juicy questions. You're getting into an industry that plays with some pretty expensive machinery to get some
Yeah.
serious products out. But before all that expensive machinery, what kind of tools were you running? Like, what were you buying to use? I'm assuming track saws. I'm assuming a regular, biscuit joiner. I'm assuming little things, right?
I started off with $15,000, and I had to kit out a shop with $15,000. So I had a rigid table saw, contractor table
I
saw.
love it. I love
Uh,
it. Yes.
the best one you could get.
I love
It,
it.
it did a pretty good work.
Yeah.
Uh, I had just a lunchbox planer that I got from my wife's grandfather, who had a shop in his country house, and then he couldn't use it anymore. So I got that, and I bought a chop saw, DeWalt chop saw, which we still have today.
Nice.
Uh, and then I had my welding machine because I bought that ahead of time, a TIG welder, but I bought a bunch of steel to create my tables and plywood. And I was lucky the space had its own paint booth, so I bought an airless sprayer.
Lucky. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. We took over. It was an old auto body shop
Perfect.
that wasn't being used. It was being used for storage, so they gave me a deal on it. And yeah, it was overrun by raccoons and squirrels, but that's a whole other story.
You didn't want to hire them?
No, unfortunately, it was. I had.
They only
It's
work
like
at night anyway.
topic.
Yeah.
I had a few doors for a Starbucks. It was like one of my first commercial gigs, and I was spraying at night, and then I left. I sprayed a coat. I left. I went to walk my dog. I came back, and there's little footprints all over the doors. I was supposed to deliver the
Did you
next day. I had
find
to
them?
sand it down.
Did you find that you had to sand them all over again and spray it again and start all over again? Man.
Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
find
At
them? Did
least
you find the culprit?
no.
No, they took
Just
off.
just put some more steel wool and spray foam and kept on going.
That's funny. And then I guess a bunch of drill drivers, impacts, chisels, or all kinds of little
Yeah.
tools, hand tools here and there,
I,
right?
I had my hand tools from school, but yeah, it's a drill driver, Milwaukee, and yeah, that's
Nice.
pretty much it. I couldn't afford enough clamps. I remember at the start we didn't have clamps, so I had my outfield table, my table saw. I did a 4x8 plywood,
Yep.
and I would just cut wedges. And I would use wedges to glue everything together. So that I would use wedges. I had three actual nice Jorgensen and I-beam clamps, and we would just clamp it like that.
Smart.
And then
I actually like it. It's
each
smart.
project I
Yeah.
would be doing. Oh, it was so much better. It was so much quicker actually when I think back on it. And I
Yeah.
was telling you guys, actually, it was this week we were planning on how to build to glue up a donut. I'm like, oh, we need to just build clamp because they're like, there's no way to clamp it. I'm like, oh, we just need to build wedges like this. And they're all laughing at me like, how do you know how to do? Why are you thinking like this? I'm like, this is how I used to do it.
Let me tell you a
But,
back in the day story. I'll tell you a back in the day. That's how we came up
oh
with
yeah.
wedges, man. It's smart. Honestly, Hayes, that's a smart idea.
Oh, you could get a ton of pressure with that.
Yeah.
Like I was able to get kinks out of like some 6-inch wide solid oak pieces. It was pretty nuts.
So now, today, what's the shop look like now compared to what it was at that very beginning?
It started out was 1,500 square feet in that space, and then I took over my neighbor's space there, which was another 1,500 square feet. So we're at like 3,000 square feet. That was like in 2015
Okay.
or 2016.
Yeah.
And then I was starting to feel tension in the neighborhood because we were technically operating in a space that was only permitted to have auto body work. We were in Westmount, so it's a pretty fancy, affluent area of Montreal.
Yeah. Okay.
And we're only allowed to have auto body work only in this like one little alcove because it was grandfathered in. I don't even know how that existed. So I was driving my forklift around out in that shop, and then I kept on getting in trouble with the city security till they finally they gave me some fine. Well, they didn't even give me fines. They just told me, hey, you need to move out of here. Uh, and so then I found the shop over in the north section, an actual industrial area.
Okay.
And now we're in 10,000 square feet and have a pretty well equipped shop with CNCs, wide belt sanders, fully automated dust collection system outside, a decent sized spray booth, welding. Like now we have a plasma CNC tube cutter. So like we really kitted out the shop pretty well.
Not bad. Not bad for
Yeah.
7 years, eh? And growing and building all that stuff and all the new toys that are in there.
Yeah, it's a lot of new toys, and now we're 15 people on the floor, so it's a
Wow.
decent sized operation,
Yeah,
and
very
we
good.
service. This year we only did 75 jobs. Last year we did about 105, I think. And yeah, it's jobs range from just like a division wall, like a glass and steel division wall, or a dining table, all the way up to a full scale 200-person restaurant, doing everything from bathrooms, tabletops, table bases, banquettes, wall paneling, ceiling panels, you name it, we do.
Non-stop. Was that by choice, the 75 jobs this year? Or was that just how the market kind of got to you?
That was kind of the scope and scale of the jobs that we're involved in now is grown tremendously. Like
Okay.
right now we're in the process of doing about I think it's about 725 linear feet of solid wood banquettes for the UQAM. So it's the University Quebec Montréal. So it's
Yeah.
a big campus here in Montreal, and we're just doing all their cafeteria here in the Montreal campus.
So how many benches is that at that? I mean, if you're doing a C shape, I guess 700, that's a lot, man.
It's a lot. There's like hold on, I don't even have it in front of me. I think it's about like 25 different units, but
Whoa.
some units are like a 40-foot wall. There's one unit that's a 60-foot wall, and then an L, so there's another section that's another 20 feet. Then I have one that's like a horseshoe shape. That's a fun one. That one's still I'm nervous to produce because it's
How
a
many people you
casse-tête, as
how
we say
many
in
how
French.
many people you fitting into that horseshoe shape? That's a big table. That's a big
That's
area.
a big one.
Yeah.
I could show you the drawings on it here, but
Yeah, I don't know
well,
how you're gonna. No, no, I'm fascinated by that, man. I'm just blown away that you're so young and you weren't ever nervous about expanding, and now you got 15 employees and you got so many toys, you got so many contracts. I love the fact that I can only assume all word of mouth, right? One job led to another to meeting somebody else. There was never any advertising from you, right?
no, I don't think we paid for advertising ever. It's
Yeah.
always been word of mouth, and I have a commission-based salesman who does a lot of our sales work, and he's really stepped up the bar with that. And one thing led to another, delivering projects well. And yeah, I always tell my clients like the best thing we could get from it is the best compliment to us is just another job.
That's it.
And that's it. And it's kind of worked its way up from there and building trust, and just was introduced to the right people, right place, right time, and probably undersold a shit ton of jobs my first 4 or 5
Oh, of
years.
course. That's how you
And
learn. Yeah.
slowly learning that the value that we bring and what we could offer, and really the value of the work that we have and how it provides. And so it's been a lot of learning, and really learning the office side has been my last like 3 years of struggle. But that's a whole other.
You're not. Are you doing that yourself, or you hiring? You have somebody else handling that side of the business?
I have currently we have two drafters locally, one working now overseas also, and then we also have I have one project manager here locally, as well as I have like three support staff, basically spread across the world.
Wow.
Uh,
But are you not, or am I wrong to think this? That when you get designs coming in, are they not giving you file? No, right? They're not. They're not ready
uh,
for you. You got to still prep them all.
like we get drawings in from architects and designers, and they're like what they want it to look like. And
Yes.
then our job and like the creativity on our job is really figuring out like how to build it to achieve what they want it to look like, or also advise them of the changes that need to be made for functionality's sake. We were on a job, a restaurant job, and I didn't even think it didn't even cross my mind, but they wanted the door to be inset, and I think it was like 2 inches in from where it's opening. So they didn't think that we need to have specialty hinges on that or anything. Like we had to switch all the standard hinges that they had in the spec out to sauce hinges
Love sauce
and
hinges.
really get. I hate
Expensive.
sauce hinges. So we actually switched it to
You do?
Tectus, I think it is.
Yeah, I know which they're sleeker looking, a lot sleeker looking.
They're sleeker looking. The black ones are better, and they're
Yes.
adjustable,
Yeah.
fully adjustable.
Really, huh? I've
Yeah, the sauce, I hate them because you can't adjust them.
no, it's you gotta like it's crosshairs, man. That's it. It's just done. That's where it's going. And you mess
Oh
it up,
yeah,
you got to start all over again.
yeah. Well, with the Tectus, you could adjust, and like it allows some play and some liveliness and a little bit less crossing your fingers and having to recut a 14-foot high door. It's
You don't want
something
that
else.
stress, man. I don't see any stress on you, Hayes. I mean, like you're doing everything in house because your segment, the guys that I know here in Toronto, they don't necessarily do everything. Like they'll outsource something. Sometimes some guys don't get into the metal. I love that you're doing the metal. Are you also handling all the upholstery? You doing all the fabrics? Are you doing, or are you going out
The
with that?
fabrics we outsource. I have an amazing, super high-end guy here, and I tell clients off the bat that I don't use the cheapest guy locally. Like there's probably 2 guys in the city I could trust doing this work, and they're the ones that are the only ones I would send it to. And yeah,
For
it's
very good
been
reason, right? There's a reason behind the
oh, because
quality.
I don't have a headache.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with headaches on it, and I know that if I send it to him, it's gonna get done well, it's gonna get done right, and the client's gonna be happy with it, and it'll be better than what they're expecting. If you cheap out on upholstery, you regret it.
You'll regret it quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a restaurant, it'll be worn down within a year.
Exactly. If not even sooner. That's the problem. So it
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. And that's what, and I'm sure you do this. Do you not do this when you go into places or if you're traveling or you inspect, right? You take a look and you try to figure out what they did wrong or right or how good or bad.
We try and figure out, like, yeah, pretty much. I go into a restaurant, I look at the decor, I look at who did what, how do they cut the corners to achieve the budget, because that's part of the game is figuring out where you could sacrifice and where you can't, and like what's the visual element that you're going to see. Like the wall behind you, that's a visual element that needs to have oomph in. Unfortunately, behind me, it's nothing. I'm in a basement office, but
don't worry. This took a little while to build, but it's done.
Yeah.
And am I going to do it again? No, I'll hire you to do it. You can do it.
yeah, we'll ship it to you in pre-made panels and send it in.
That's what I was going to ask.
Do that. We CNC cut.
I know.
Presswood or whatever the backing is there. We'll CNC cut in for each slat, and then just be able to have it like a easy jigsaw puzzle.
As a panel. You basically would put it on as panels then. You wouldn't even tell that it's panels.
Yeah.
That's really
Exactly.
cool. I guess in today's day and age, and I guess with the last 3 years, the way things have been, you haven't really been doing any site visits. It's all done virtually, but you don't get an opportunity to actually go. Like, listen, Hayes, come to the place and take a look at the space. You don't need to do that, do you? In today's digital age,
I wish
you could.
I didn't have to do it as often as I have.
Are they always asking you to do that?
I still do. Well, locally, I do a ton of site visits to just check out the space and double check everything. Even like we've done a lot of work in a mall over in New Jersey, and even during the lockdown, when they said you're not allowed to cross the border, I was crossing the border, and like I got a letter from site saying I'm needed on site to deal with the contract, and you still got pulled in for questioning. Like I would cross the border at 3 a.m. So you drive across there at 3 a.m. You get pulled in for questioning. Why do you think you're allowed to go into the United States? And
that's right. I got millwork to take care of. Leave me alone. No, I go.
Yeah.
This is important.
I have the most important thing in life. It's livelihoods at stake.
I love it, man. So I want to know where do you plan on taking certain things? Are you going to keep on growing, or you like the size that it's at right now?
Right now, I'm at a scale that I need to just to fulfill the current demand. Even though I see it starting to slow down a bit, but it's not fully slowing down, I feel. I need to add probably a night shift in for my wood shop. That's something that we're really exploring and trying to plan and like have the office prepared to handle that, and the production manager on the floor able to handle that influx and the amount of coordination and communication involved there, which is very difficult for our current workforce.
Because your clients can't, or you can't build fast enough for your clients.
Yeah, I
They,
feel like that's currently where we're at, and the only other way to expand is to grow the facilities, which is another level of expense.
yeah, but you're already at a huge size, man, and also you got a healthy amount of employees too, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
it's optimizing their workspace, optimizing their work, optimizing pretty much everything, and that's kind of what we need to focus on the next year, and standardizing the non-standard parts,
I got it.
which is the fun way to say it.
I want to share a little bit of history and cabinetry with you. We always, it's kind of interesting. Cabinets were first used in late Renaissance Italy and were designed for storing papers and other valuables. Did you know that? You probably knew a little bit.
No,
They must have
no,
taught it in school, no? No, they would never.
no.
Shut
They
up.
only taught us what
Start
we're doing.
sanding. Just start sanding. We got raccoon paw prints here. Start sanding. They came from the realization that chests were useful for seating and frontal access to storage was more convenient. Thus, cabinets were often placed on the chest or a table before legs were added. Since cabinets held valuables, they were decorated with great displays and monarchy. Carving, inlays, that's where all the fine cabinetry came in. French style came in. English style was influenced by Chinese and Japanese. Glass started coming in the 18th century. Cabinet makers soon became the most highly regarded woodworker. That's basically what they teach you guys in Quebec there, which I totally respect. It's like it's not taught the same way here. It needs to be. Now a cabinet maker refers to the maker of relatively short-lived built-in cabinet furniture, kitchen cabinets. That's basically what you haven't gone into that world, have you?
No, I've never attempted a kitchen. I
You get asked.
really suggest everyone to contact a real cuisinist. At one point during the pandemic, I was nervous with work, and in Quebec, you were only allowed to work for a period of time just for residential.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, we should get into residential," and I quickly regretted attempting to do such things.
Why? Why do you think that? Why would you regret that? You want to get into that world?
We took on like three residential jobs, and all of them, I'm not cut out for that world.
It's a different. It's a different world.
I'm not much of a people pleaser in that sense. It's not like I think I'm a little less filtered, and it comes off a little bad, and then I get a little frustrated sometimes with yeah, things.
It's perfect for the hospitality industry. It's perfect for
Great for
commercial.
hospitality industry. You tell it how it is, and people are okay with that.
Yeah.
When I told someone you need to have a floor track for sliding doors that are 10 feet high,
As
we need
you
a floor
would.
track. And they're like, no, we can't do a floor track. And I'm like, okay. So I built doors without a floor track. And they're like, why is it moving inwards? I'm like, well, I have the little floor bumper, but they're 5 feet wide by 10 feet high. You need a floor track. No floor track. I'm like, okay. So walk off. And of course, they hired someone after me and then back charged me for adding floor track.
So they don't want to listen. I know where you're point at, right? I totally. Am I missing the wrong one? Sorry, Hayes. I'm just. There was probably. I've already. Never mind. Don't worry. It's our technical issues on our end. No problem.
No worries.
No. It's all good. I'm enjoying this. So I wanted to figure out what is your favorite thing that you've ever seen when you've gone traveling or looked at or even locally that you've seen. Not necessarily your work. It could be your work as well too. That you're like, damn, that's actually nice, man.
Oh, fuck. I
There's
think it
got.
was one of the at JFK, there are these tables, Korean molded tables that I was actually working. I saw them, I admired them, and then I figured out I was working for the guy that built them. So it was really fun. They were like these, they kind of look like a jet, the pebble shaped tables, and they're just compound, angle, curved, everything solid Korean, beautiful.
At the airport?
Yeah, at the JFK
Yeah,
airport.
yeah. Wow, wow.
Yeah.
How many tables were there?
think there were like three. Was it JFK? It could have been no, it wasn't. It could have been LaGuardia. I can't
LaGuardia.
remember.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
there was a bunch of rentals going on at LaGuardia because
yeah,
that was just a shithole of an airport. It needed a rental basically.
yeah,
So that stood out.
yeah. That one stood out tremendously. And then like fun stuff we've done. We've done a lot of fun stuff from like giant doors to I don't know. The current project I'm on now, the UCAN project, is probably one of my favorite things. And we've been pushing the bar in terms of like what we could do and really pushing. Like now, it's always in commercial space. Everything's curved. Everything's curved laminate, curved phoenix, curved wood, and like it's just fun to do that. And it's complicated. And we have curved Korean cabinets that we're installing. It's fun.
Does it not get more challenging when you're trying to figure out table space or just shop space to try to, first of all, I guess, build the spine and then veneer it and then clamp it and glue it? Like, how does it stop? It doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop. It's just fun. It's like it's what interests me in that. It's pushing the boundaries, doing something different, doing something new. And realistically, if we could draw it in microvellum like our current CAD software, we could produce it. And so as long as we could draw it in microvellum, it's automatically transferred to our CNC and figure it out from there.
Have you ever said no, Hayes, to a client? Have you ever said, no, that can't be done?
I try not to.
Okay.
Yeah, I really try not to.
You're always up for the challenge.
I like the challenging work. I think that's what has allowed me to constantly find new hires that are passionate about it. Like we don't have, I wouldn't say we don't have I don't think we don't have like, I haven't felt the labor shortage.
Really?
People say that like the labor shortage, like
Yeah,
it's not,
well, I mean, you're in a very cool industry. You know what I mean? Like you're in a
yeah.
very like problem solving, cool, like you all.
It's the right amount of
Yeah.
hip industry. So like we're
Yes.
able to find people like whether from the schools, whether from word of mouth, whether like experienced, unexperienced, we're able to find people and our work allows us and like what we do allows us to stand out and be like probably a preferred place to go to. At least I feel that. And like I've been told that by one of the staff. It's like we're producing cooler stuff. You're not in an assembly line just nailing together cabinets all day. We're building something curved one day. The next day we're working a ton of solid wood, and it just goes from there. So it's been a fun. We try and do the fun projects.
What's the species of the flavor, I guess, of the year, or is it still white oak? Is that where everybody's going to?
Well, realistically, it's always white oak and walnut.
Yeah.
And now, but the UCAN project, the one that we're on, it's all solid birch. We bought 40,000 board feet of solid birch, 8 quart of solid birch.
Wow.
Yeah, four
What's
full
the price point of
truckloads.
solid birch at compared to white oak?
When we got the contract, it was about 330 a board foot,
And
and since then it's gone up to about five. The peaked at about five, and then now it's dropped back down to like 420, I think.
it's not too bad. It's not crazy.
It's gone like this, and this is 1 year price changes. It's was nuts. I remember last November it was at 330 when we first priced everything.
Yeah.
And we bought our first truckload at 4, and then we had. I remember when it was at 520. I just didn't buy. I couldn't. It didn't make sense for the project. We had to hold off. Didn't delay anything, luckily, but yeah.
And then where's are we getting our white? I know someone recently asked on this show. Are we getting the white oak from here, or is it coming from someplace else?
Depends. Typically, I think with white oak, it's normally someone's gonna correct me because I'm definitely wrong.
I
I
don't
think
know.
it's like northeastern United US or like more in like
It might be.
mid
It might
east.
be. Yeah. But walnut though, where's the walnut coming from? That's got to be here.
I don't I don't think we produce Lily. I think Quebec, well, at least Quebec, of what I know, is all we produce is maple, some birch, and pine.
But then,
Sapin,
sapien? No, not sapien.
no, not see. I forget what it's called. Full tone. We produce a bunch of softwoods here, Yeah.
I guess out west, because I know there was, and there probably still is, a shortage in mahogany, red cedar. There's a
Mhm.
shortage. So I just don't. Why is it that? I mean, yeah, sure. White oak is a nice grain. Birch is a nice grain. Walnut's a nice grain. But there's other trees, man. Without killing the rainforest and getting all environmental and everything like that, there's other
Ash is
ash.
beyond
Ash is
amazing. There's a
beautiful.
ton of ash locally, and
Yeah.
like it's as nice as white oak. You could stain it to look like white oak in a second, and like we stain white oak so many times for clients, and I don't get it, but we end up staining it a lot
So why
to
won't
either
they
get.
entertain the ash idea then? They just don't want it to be ash.
It's a little looser of a grain. There's less ray fleck. So the ray fleck in the white oak is really what sets it apart, at least for me.
Okay.
It's the little lines that go horizontal, not vertical. And it's yeah, that's what looks good. In my house, I did white oak actually in the bathroom I built for myself. So yeah,
In the vanity.
in the vanity, yeah, vanity's all white
Nice.
oak, solid white oak veneer.
Wall mounted, floating.
No,
No.
it sits down to the floor, tower up, and then it's not really. I wouldn't call it shaker, but it's the the face. It's like an arch. So I did an arch across three drawers.
Okay.
So it's solid wood that looks like an arch and a veneer panel in the center, just with vertical grain through it.
But it looks like you actually carved out a solid piece of white oak.
No, not at
No.
all. It
Okay.
looks like a panel, a framing panel door,
Yeah.
but it's a little different.
Did you match the grain? No, you didn't
Oh
match.
yeah, of course it's a wood grain match.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, so I want to also
People
figure
do
out.
doors without grain match.
No, I
Like,
know.
is
I'm
that
just,
a
listen.
thing?
I was on a job, and I'm not saying any names, but there was a few panels that had to get changed several times because just grains were not matching, and they tried to convince the client right in front of me, and I'm quiet as a mouse. I'm quiet as a mouse when I'm listening because I just like, here's a shovel, keep on burying, it doesn't matter, and I'll just stay quiet until the client turns to me and says, "What do you think, Manny?" And I generally will say something like, "Even Stevie Wonder can see that that's not matching," and I walk away, and that's it. I'm done. I'm done at that point. They have to change it. It has to match. It just has to work it, and then they start talking about the whole process. How they can't get it matched. It's a crapshoot. We don't know. We don't know until we do it, and then it changes when you actually apply the sealer to it. And I'm like, oh, just figure it out. Basically, is what I'm trying to get at, right? Because that's your specialty,
Yeah.
no?
Well, for us, when we're doing cabinets that are next to each other and we're just doing shade sprays, you need to have them all in the booth at the same time and you spray them all at once,
Same time,
or else it's going to come up different no matter what.
exactly.
Yeah.
I know they were not doing that, and that's why I was getting so frustrated with it.
No.
But I mean, okay,
Yeah.
you're working on a bunch of stuff. You want to walk us through your whole process from meeting a client to delivering a product? And I know you say you don't have the labor shortage. Are you having an install shortage?
Install is impossible.
Okay. All right. So you are having
That's my labor shortage is
okay.
my install
Good.
and
All right.
installers and especially locally with proper cards and insurances and
Well,
we
that's
have
right. You
our
guys have the whole CCQ thing and
oh,
the mafia and yeah, it's a
it's
whole.
the legal mafia. That's
Oh
it.
man, it's like when I first heard about that, and it just keeps on going, and nobody's gonna ever do anything because if they do or try, then we'll end up in concrete, and that's it. And all of a sudden,
And the best part is les bassins, so like the pool labor pools aren't open; they're closed.
I know it's. I
And
feel for you guys on that one, man. I feel really bad about that. So labor shortage on installs. It's hard to find those trades, right?
yeah, well, we have a few good installers that we sub out to, and they're all carded and they give us the proper documentation, and that's all that matters. And yeah, but
Are
I'm
you
stuck.
affected by the CCQ as a business owner? You're technically, are you?
Anything in my shop, we're able to produce in my shop. Everything on site needs to have CCQ installers. As an employer with an RBQ license, I have my own CCQ employer card.
Okay.
And I could always ask for exemptions to have my employees be allowed to have one or two employees on site.
But they'll have
So
ask and denied or ask and approved.
it's approved if the bassins are at 10% or lower, like available space. So if the bassin is almost open, then you're able to ask and they'll be approved without any questions.
Wow.
Sometimes they'll be approved if you would say they need a certain specialty, like finishing on site. I'm able to get that one approved easily. But the other ones, just a guy to install cabinets, that's another story.
I would love to get the CCQ on the show, but I think my first question would be, are you guys a mafia? And then the connection would just drop and it's done.
Yeah.
And that's it. The show's over.
It needs to be in French. T'as besoin de tout faire en français avec eux autres.
Really? They don't. I'll have a translator here then. We'll just totally do it as a
Yeah.
translator and then we'll go back and forth. That'll still be my first question. Are you guys a mafia? That's
Yeah.
it. How do you say that in French? Are you guys a mafia?
Oh, I have no clue. Those words don't exist.
I'm gonna get a knock on the door, man. CCQ is gonna go across the border and come to me and head up in Toronto. We're looking for Manny Construction Life. Here you go. Yeah, where's your card? Doesn't apply, man. Doesn't apply. Not to me.
No.
So
You need to have your WSIB there, but that's basically
yeah, but
our
that's normal. That's everywhere we
That's-
go here. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
It's working comms.
Of course, that's normal. But everything else is just, it's no different than Tony fucking shaking you down. That's all it is, right? It's no different. It's the same thing.
It's
Just
a
they're
decent
French.
amount of money
They're not
there.
Italian. That's all it is. This is the only, well, there's a lot of Italian French. Yeah, I'm not getting into that whole world, man. I'm gonna
I wouldn't go there.
I'm gonna get into trouble, man. Walk us through the whole process. So I know you hinted at. So drawings come in. You love dealing with designers. You love dealing with architects. You love dealing with all those people.
We have fun with them, and then we basically give a proposal of what it's going to cost to build a certain area. We see if their project really fits our criteria.
How do you price
And-
that, Hayes? Like, how do you look at it's a custom, one-off, difficult, cool? How do you price it?
I have developed a ton of spreadsheets now to do that. Thank you. Like Victoria, like a member of our team, has really put in a ton of hours in developing those with my feedback, and it's just come out pretty great. That it's pretty accurate in terms of estimating hours per job, per item, per job, amount of materials needed. Just from doing this for 9 years, it's you go by your rule of thumb of like how many. It's like 2 hours to build a cabinet. It's an extra hour to build every drawer. And just have that calculated. So all you need to enter it in is the length of the run, the height, the depth, how many curves there are, how many drawers there are, how many doors. It calculates all the material, my cost per material as my overhead markup, labor burden, which is a huge one that pretty much everyone always forgets about.
Yeah.
As well as employee labor rates, and just really calculates everything and spits out numbers.
And she's pretty good. You guys are getting pretty good when you deliver.
Yeah, we're pretty much, I think the last 4 jobs we job costed, we're at 96% of used hours.
Good.
And the material budget is at or slightly below what we use, unless we make a mistake. If there's a mistake on a panel and we need to buy new panels, like, yeah, the material budget's higher, but pretty much what we estimate has been pretty well aligned there.
And that's just experience over the time, right? That's all it is.
Yeah, I think we're only on red 5 of that sheet, so it's not too bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's where it starts. And then you cost it out and then you go from there.
We cost it out, they say go ahead, then we produce shop drawings. Shop drawings, typically, we would produce our overview drawings, and those take anywhere from a week to 4 weeks to 6 weeks, depending on the amount of stuff we need to do. Those shop drawings, sometimes we have a revision or 2 or 7, depending on the project, the job, the magnitude, the amount of the committee
How many
involved
cooks in the kitchen and everybody's got
Yeah.
an input. Yes, we get it. Yeah.
We average at about like 2 revisions typically is our average, but some projects have gone way more than that and some have been way under that. So we go through that, and 2 revision with the client internally, we have a few revisions normally. From there, then we have a sit down with production staff for a design review. So we sit down, all production team, really plan out the nuts and bolts, how everything's being done, if any assemblies need to be modified. And then we produce our production drafts. So the drafts the guys actually use on the floor, which then have our full CNC takeoffs. And then basically from that, we schedule production, order materials, schedule production, and run.
Run it, assemble it, glue it, spray it,
Yeah, ship it
package
out the
it, and then
door,
ship it
package
out.
it,
Yeah,
either crate it, order a truck to the shop and deal with it all. Yeah,
and then the
I know
install.
logic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then install, but installs when we're dealing with stuff in the States, it's always handled by the contractor. So it's completely subbed out and it's been great with us. We have good partners pretty much everywhere. I think I've met people that I would hire again, from Washington, Jersey, New York, LA. Yeah,
From
pretty
what
much
I
every.
gather down there, they're very efficient and they're very. That's what I'm gathering. Is that the case or not?
Um, I wouldn't go with it's not just efficiency. It depends where it's at.
Okay.
Certain areas that you have certain unions in certain areas
Oh,
that
okay.
are
Yeah, I wasn't factoring unions. I know. I stadiums, airports, things like that. You start dealing with the Teamsters. There we go. We go from the CCQ to the Teamsters. Yeah, I'm inviting everybody to come knocking on my door right now.
it's yeah, it's not bad. Like realistically, the labor is pretty great down there. It's they're able to think, they're able to solve problems. It's been pretty good. They tell me what they need. We end up working together, finding solutions. It's not I haven't had any major issues on installs, and they figured out how to place some pretty crazy pieces into pretty crazy spots. So no complaints with that.
Have you gone even further? Have you gone overseas? Have you built something for somebody? Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm still waiting for the day. I'm nervous to ship anything on a boat.
The
We
way
had one time a shipment of tables that the freight guy thought he was doing us a favor. He was like, "Oh, I got you a great rate. You put it on a reefer truck." So they picked it up in the short box at the shop. Then they switched it to a reefer truck because he got a better rate doing it. Went down to Florida in a reefer truck, so a refrigerated truck. These tables that are shot lacquer, they come out, they open it up, it's just water bubbles through
Oh,
everything. Luckily, I know there's a product that you could spray, so I was able to organize to get this special product that you're able to spray on that basically dissolves the lacquer for like a few seconds, blends it together, and then lets the air out, and then will work. So they were able to spray this with that product, and it went back to normal. But it was nerve wracking.
not gonna matter. How many tables?
I think it was like 60.
Oh man, and every single one, right? Every single one was.
Oh, probably like five were still good. It was great. I was shocked.
Oh man, what else do I want to ask you, man? What do you like building for your home? Like, are you still building
Um,
shoe boxes? Or no, you're not doing that. You're gonna build your own kitchen.
I am nervous. We're gonna have to do a kitchen in Reno in probably about the next 5 years.
Okay.
Uh, we just moved with it and moved into a new spot, so it's yeah.
Why are
Well, we
you
got to do
nervous
the
about
bathroom first.
that?
Pardon?
Why are you nervous about that? Because it's
Because I don't
yours.
want to do it.
You
My
don't.
wife's the toughest customer. Come on now.
She expecting such a level,
She's expecting a certain level, and I know I can't deliver on it, so I'm gonna have to hire that out 100%.
but she'll freak out if you hire somebody else to do it. You have to do it. No, you have to do it, man.
I think it's part of my pride, but like, yeah, I've don't think I've built a kitchen since I was in school. It's been that far. So, and there's so much technology, so many things that you could do to it. Um,
It's
never know
easy. Hey,
if it's flat panels with
yeah, start with shaker, white. That's it. Chantilly or CC. Like, just do the same thing over and over. No, no, that's not what you're gonna do. You
no,
can't do that.
for us, I don't even know what we'd want. Like we need to live in a space. You need to feel how you want to live in it. And like we have a kitchen room and a dining room. My wife's saying to break down the wall. I don't want to do that. I'm not a big fan of
Open concept.
having, you know, the last place we lived in was fully open, the main floor. And the problem with that is that you have a wood floor in a kitchen, and you can't have a wood floor in a kitchen.
But that's your
I'm
wife too.
very
Your wife agrees with that.
yeah, from our last place, it was all oiled wood floors, oiled walnut floors, and it was my dog wrecked it. Our kitchen, we had to put carpets everywhere because it was just destroyed within a few weeks. Like if you're actually cooking inside a kitchen with oiled wood floors, the amount of upkeep. I remember I re-oiled that once a month, and it was still looked like trash.
So why is everybody doing wood floors in kitchens across North America?
Open concept
Who cares about
or
open?
Uber Eats.
Yeah. There's got to be a way to figure out how we can put, and I'm not talking about trying to get tile that looks like wood. There's got to be a way that we could put stone in the kitchen and still have our wood elsewhere, right?
Yeah, you
Or
would have to do like a transition, or just have separate rooms.
or have the walls. Exactly. I'm still a fan. I'm a traditionalist. I don't like open concept. I like designated rooms. I like like a dining room, family room, kitchen. I like that you have your breakfast area, but you have rooms and entryway in and out of those rooms. So then you've got a reason. You have a threshold to change the direction or change the flooring, change the material, change all that stuff. I don't
Yeah.
like open concept, but everybody does wood in kitchens, man. Frustrates me, man.
Wood for the cabinetry, 100%.
Yes.
For the floor, I'm a little nervous with it. It depends. If you do like a really high durable solid oak floors with the 2-inch lats like they did in the old days, yeah, that'll work in a kitchen. That won't get too destroyed. But
But
yeah,
that has character, and you damaging it only adds more character to it.
yeah. If you're
That's
trying to do like a 7-inch wide plank walnut or white oak like they have now with that white or off white or that gray color that I've been seeing everywhere. It's
everybody. I know the grayish or whatever it is, and
oh,
you might as well photograph your floor and then get a picture and frame it and put it on the wall because that's the only way that floor is going to look good. It'll stay looking good with the photograph. It ain't going to be the real one.
yeah. We did restaurant where it was a white oak like herringbone floor the whole way across, and it was beautiful when they installed it, but after time, like it starts showing some wear and it looks a little dirtier, but it still looks good. It still looks aged. It looks like an old French bistro, which
Yeah,
is what it's supposed to look like.
but people don't want that in their homes. They think it's just
No.
dirty. I think it's character.
Yeah.
Call me crazy, but I think it looks good.
Yeah. Well, for this place, we did, it's a 100-year-old house, so we did all the when we had to take out all the plaster that had asbestos in it. When we put everything back in with gyps, we end up redoing all the moldings exactly as they were. So I had them all custom milled exactly how they were when we got the place, because that's what we fell in love with, and installed that myself. So it was a lot of fun. But
That's not
like,
crazy. Did you you went to a mill place to do the knives, or was it?
yeah,
Yeah,
there's a few specialty retailers for that here,
it's
and
not crazy expensive. How much is it to do a set of knives for a molding?
like 200-300 bucks, but
Yeah,
he,
that's
he
what I
just
said.
adds into the price of the run.
Yeah, it's not that crazy if
I
you think about it. Yeah,
I think it was like probably about 3,000 total for just all the trim for the house, which isn't bad for a trim package.
yeah. And you did it obviously in poplar, no?
All poplar,
All
yeah.
poplar. I know. I'm having arguments over and over. MDF, MDF, MDF. I'm like, not for trim.
No, trim you're gonna hit vacuum into it and stuff. Like even on our furniture and everything we produce, we try and do solid wood trim. Like anytime they have trim, it's always solid wood. Edges, we try and do everything solid wood. I'm not a big fan with the laminates. Laminates on edges in a commercial space, it's always iffy for me because they could chip out easily.
Yep.
If it's like that, we need to be able to easily repair it because we're gonna end up having to do that at least once. But yeah, it happens.
And then you were mentioning that the team that you guys got working for you and taking care of everything for you, are they problem solvers too? So they see the drawings come in, they set up the CNC, they do everything. Are they scratching their head and going, "This is just too difficult," or are they actually they're engaged and they want to solve this and fix it and build it, right?
Oh, sometimes there's complaints of like, how are we going to do this? But definitely, it's everyone's pretty much gung ho on problem solving and delivering the best product. Like, yeah, I had to I had to create the hours budget in house, so we didn't go overboard a little bit on making it like there's levels of perfection that we could achieve, and there's a level of perfection that's profitable and a level of perfection that's a little bit above board. We like to veer on that level of perfection, like just above profitability before it gets above board where we're losing our shirts on a job. But again, it needs to be done right. And so it's making sure that happens. And like keeping a certain level of quality control that it's done right, it's done well, and it's done on budget. And those are like the three main things that we need to install. But realistically, finishing, they won't take shit.
Yeah, it's got to be a real sense of pride, especially in the shop, and you're taking those drawings and then you're building it, and then you're seeing the finished product, and it just looks stunning. Like it looks like someone else almost built it, but you guys built it. You put it together, and you could see the quality of it, right?
It's weird when we ship stuff out and we don't see the finished product. Like a lot of the guys in the shop, until I actually started posting on social media and really having someone post some stuff on social media for me, until we started doing that, a lot of the guys in the shop didn't see the final product.
That's a
Like
shame.
the wood shop will finish it, we'll finish doing the work, then it'll be sent up to finishing. But most of our stuff is too big to really be fully mounted in the shop and not see it like in the grand scheme of the actual restaurant or coffee shop or mall. So like we'll build pieces in like segments that fit inside of our elevator that's 4 foot by 8 foot by 12 foot deep that goes upstairs to finishing. Then it'll be finished. Then it'll either be wrapped and then sent back down to be packaged to be shipped. So a lot of them don't see the final product. And so it's a really adding in the social media, adding in really trying our best to share pictures of what it looks like, and what they built looks like, and making sure everyone sees it, so you can be proud of it. It's fun. Yeah.
No, I could totally see that. I wanted to ask you, do you ever work with any clients here in Toronto? Have you sent any pieces this way?
Uh, yeah, a bunch. We still do a bunch of work with Jack Astor's like Circorp Group.
Yeah.
We built out for the guys over at Chef on Call over in Waterloo, I think it was.
Okay.
And I think I did a Rotary Hospice over in where was that? It was past Waterloo, where they have the Shakespeare place. I never remember that area.
Stratford.
Yeah,
Okay.
Stratford. I
Yeah.
did a ton of work at Square One in that mall there
Oh, really?
with like Mad and Nat. We did the doors and some millwork there and like a bunch of other stuff there. I'm like,
Oh, that's totally. I didn't realize that, man. So that's all your work now. I got to take another look at it next time I'm there.
yeah, you can see how terrible it is.
No, man. Hayes, I want to ask you, and
No,
you don't
man.
have to answer it, and you don't have to give it up or anything like that. But I mean, you want to share some secrets in shop or whatever? Like, is there particular glues that you use or little techniques that you know? You don't have to, because I know that there might be
Uh,
trade secrets, right? So,
Really, like the thing that I didn't focus on probably for like 3-4 years that's set me back, and then like I've been focusing on it more recently is the keeping our numbers straight, like knowing our labor burn, knowing our costs, knowing everything. Like I wasn't fully aware of that until probably about three years ago. I was really able to dial it in and like focus on job costing and dealing with that. I didn't pay much attention to the back office. I was always more on the floor, and then I had a guy managing my drafts, and he was really the COO, and I was kind of production manager per se. And then COVID happened, and we kind of switched roles, and I kind of took the throne of there because we weren't heading in the right direction, and had to really focus in. So really, it's knowing your numbers, knowing what it costs you to run a shop every day, knowing that you need to pay yourself like a salary, like those are the things that I will tell everyone constantly. It's knowing that you're running a business, not like a hobby.
but is it
I
hard for you to keep your design hat off because you're such a creative person that it's hard to let go of that design element? I mean, design's even in your name. Like, it's just like it's part of the URL. Like, how do you keep it off? So then it's a business. Yeah.
it's making sure that we keep to the design intent, but also keep the budget, and ensuring that we actually budgeted everything properly is crucial. Ensuring like the past 2 years not being afraid to ask clients and tell them, hey, your prices are going up because the market's going up. It's happening more and more, but now we're at a time where it's starting to stabilize. At least in steel, it's fully stabilized and got back to something reasonable. Wood's still high and not moving anywhere right now, but that's a whole other story. Uh,
That will go back up a little bit.
yeah, it's for me, it's focusing on that, focusing on the handoff of information, because now we're so many people in the office, it's really making sure that we hand off information, communicate clearly, and really standardize forms, practices, like operating a business versus operating a shop. It's two separate levels of thinking and thoughts. Like what works for a team of 1 to 5 is not what works for a team of 5 to 10. It just isn't what's going to work for a team 10 to 15 and so on.
But it's
So
also
it's really
unique, Hayes. Like
what?
your it's unique. It's your shop and the way you run things, or the employees and the scope of work and the projects. It's all unique. You can't cookie cutter someone else's shop and apply those same principles to your shop. You have to figure out your shop. Isn't that the case?
Yeah, you need to figure out your personnel and like what people do and where they excel and really enable them to succeed. Um, I wouldn't say I was the best person doing that for a long time. I'm still learning, but like yeah, it's really getting that sense and being an actual business owner versus a guy working a salary job.
Making shoe boxes that you can't move, they're too heavy. That kind
Oh
of
yeah.
idea. You can't do
Oh, we
that.
still have those instances where we built something and like we had we have this banquette actually that is shipping out this week that we fabricated, and as we're fabricating we're like, oh, this isn't going to go in the elevator to go up to finishing. And so the guys had to come up with a modification on the fly of how to make it so it could then be assembled in wood shop before shipping to the client in New Jersey, and then be assembled again on site final. So it was nice. You got to figure out things on the fly.
So
But
you
yeah,
didn't get one of the employees to walk up to the elevator with a grinder and cut a hole in the ceiling to kind of fit it in there? That wouldn't work.
we didn't. We've already modified that elevator to give us the maximum opening in the floor.
Still to
It's
see.
been modified.
Yeah.
It's freight only. It's yeah, it's a winch operated elevator.
Yeah, it's old school one. But I also wanted to. I mean, I love that you're sharing that information. It's great. But I was thinking more of the techniques. And what are you guys running in the shop there, glue wise and
Oh, glue
machinery?
wise, type bond everything.
Type on everything.
Type on
One,
two,
two,
type
or
on
three.
three. Standard wood glue, standard type on wood glue,
Yeah.
the red one, and
Yes.
then type on 3 if we need bigger open time or exterior projects.
Yeah.
A lot. I switched over actually. I used to be using a lot of 2P10 for instant glue.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The fast cap one, the
Yeah.
fast cap
Yeah.
instant
Yeah.
glue
Yeah. Yeah.
2P10,
Okay.
and we switched over from that over to the Worth stuff because it's 10
Is it
times
bet?
better and has a little bit of flexibility in it. It's 10 times like I carry one in my backpack with me all the time.
It's that
Uh,
good because I know that I've tried some of it sometimes and I wasn't completely happy with it. But you'd be using it 10,000 times more than I would be using it. So
yeah, it's a game saver for a lot of things. Like whenever we're siliconing anything in place, or like we need to use like a silicone or any other glue on site. If you put a few dabs of 2P10 and then your glue, then at least you put the activator, it holds it in place, it sets, and then the actual adhesive sets. Has been crucial for us. Like really having good relationship with our vendors. They give us heads up when things are about to go upwards in pricing. So they tell us something's about to go up in price. Let me know I should place my orders now or in the next week. Like before the last glass hike, I remember I got a call saying, "Hey, we're about to hike. Glass is about to go up 40%. Like order right now. Place your orders. I know you have a few to place." And so I put in way more than I needed right then. And so we got everything before the price increase.
you
And they
actually,
said,
so you actually got a call or an email saying that glass was going to increase 40%, like that much at one time.
yeah, well, the thing was started July. July 1st, it was supposed to happen. I got notified
That's
on June
crazy.
12th that it was going to happen on July 1st. I
Wow.
put in all my POs before June 18th. On the 23rd, they said, actually, the price increase is happening now because there's too many orders.
So they're asking you to come in, put the orders in, and now they're telling you that it's going up now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice of them.
Yeah, because their vendor was increasing the pricing, so they had one last shipment of actual raw material. I have no clue how the glass industry works, but that's what I was
That's
heard of,
another
and I
mafia.
saw Yeah, it's another one. I saw it. Well, when you look it up in the news, I thought the guy was joking with me. I thought he was making a joke, but yeah,
About the
you could see on
glass?
the inside of the website. Yeah, and then you always ask your vendors like, what's the price range? Like, where's the prices headed? Like, we're trading wood's a commodity, steel's a commodity, so you need to ask your vendors. They know what their buyer is doing, and they know what's coming down the pipeline. Like right now, he's telling me, oh yeah, the sheet stock we have now, amazing prices. Like, buy it now, the sheet stock, because it's going to go up eventually. Yeah.
What's some of the most expensive sheets goods that you guys have worked with, had a chance to work with?
I built a table for a client out of
Solid ebony.
solid ebony and stainless. And it was probably his whole criteria for the table. He was like, I want it to sink. If it hits water, I want it to sink.
That's how he described it.
Yeah.
How
And he
much
wanted
was
black everything. This client, his kitchen was
must have
fully
looked stunning,
stainless.
man. It must have looked insane.
It was cool. It was cool. It was fun to work with. He wanted only the blacks in it. We had to cut out all the light sections of ebony. So it was jet black,
Wow, wow, wow. And this was a dining
solid
table?
table. This was no kitchen table.
A
You can't
kit?
do a dining table like that.
Okay.
You'll break the floor. You'll have to re-engineer the floor.
He probably would.
It might have been like $75 a board foot for it wet, and then we had to then send it to a vacuum kiln over, or it was a microwave kiln in Toronto, have it dried, and then ship it to Montreal to build it. And I remember building with it, we would have to scuff sand. It's so waxy. You don't realize it because we've worked with ebony probably twice before. It's so waxy that you need to scuff sand it first just before you're about to glue it, then glue it right away. And I forget which glue we had to do. We did a ton of tests of figuring out what's the best glue to use and everything, because Type on 3, which normally works well with exotics, didn't glue well. I forget what they ended up using in the shop.
Was it
But
Type on 1 or
yeah,
Type on 1 was reacting better than Type on 3? Or
no.
something
It
else,
was
yeah?
you need to do either Type on 3, or it was an epoxy based glue, or an Acfist or a polyurethane. I forget what they used in the end. It's written somewhere in our notes on that job.
How hard
But
was it to scuff it? Was it? It's a hard wood. So how?
super hard.
Yeah.
It was bad on tooling. I remember our planer, the double side. We couldn't throw through the double side planer. We were nervous to take off too much. Uh, but then we threw through the single sided, but it just dulled the blades. And dull planer blades is probably the worst sound in the
Oh,
world.
I know. It's like a rat. It's the ship is going down. That's what it sounds like. The
Yeah,
ship is going down. No.
yeah.
Wow. But that would still look. And then it was a metal frame, metal table legs or something.
Stainless steel table legs, stainless steel breadboards, all number 4 polish, and it was definitely a fun thing. And we designed it. It was like very Japanese inspired, so it was like these nice U's. It actually ended up looking, when we looked at pictures of it after we construct it, you start seeing like, oh, this thing looks like the Olympic Stadium. Like it looks like it looked
The
like,
arm or whatever.
yeah, the arm was coming out each way and like kind of cusping it. It was cool.
So who did the
But
stainless? You guys did it in house.
yeah, we did it in house.
So the welding and everything.
We did no, actually that one we didn't do it in house. I actually subbed it out to a friend who specializes in like crazy mechanisms and crazy things.
And how were the
Uh,
welds? The welds were solid.
Welds were solid, really
Yeah.
solid, and it was pretty nice to do that 3-way curves and everything.
Well, that must have been nice, man. I
Yeah.
can only imagine it. If you got a picture, I'd love to see it. Or it's not on your feed, is it?
It's probably on my feet somewhere. I'm sure I could pull up a picture
All
for it of
right,
it.
I'd love to take a look at that. So he was happy, and he went inside the house, and he was totally happy with it. It was great.
He was happy with it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. That was definitely probably one of the most challenging builds
But
we've
that's what
done.
you're looking for, no? You're looking for those kinds of things.
Yeah, it was a small, challenging build that I completely underpriced. I remember my budget for yeah.
But you learned a lot.
You learned a lot, and you learned yeah, it was definitely something else.
What's what's the wood that you're so fed up with, man?
When we did a coffee shop with vertical grain Doug fir, and the splinters that you get from that is ridiculous. It's beautiful. It's beautiful wood. I love the wood. Amazing. The grain,
It's got a
everything
nice
was just so
honey kind of
nice.
tone. It's a nice color. It is a
It's
nice,
beautiful.
yeah, okay. But
It's great.
the splinters are really bad.
Splinters there were terrible. I just remember getting splintered, and that was probably one of, yeah. And it was a very time long build, and I remember like 16-hour days on that, and it was weeks of those to get that stuff done.
What are you
It was
using
fun.
for sanders, man? Hand sanders.
Uh, for we have wide belt, so like we use a 50-inch wide belt sander.
You have a
So we
50? You have a 50-inch wide belt?
yeah, yeah.
Is it one of those what do you call it, like an S kind of thing? Or you got a
No,
round?
it goes like this. It's you put it, it's a machine, and you put
Yeah. Yeah. So the belt
yeah.
itself, how long is the belt? It's like huge, man.
I think it's like 112 inches long by 50 inches wide.
Holy cow, man. So it's
It's
basically
pretty big.
over nine
I've never,
feet. Wow.
yeah, I've
And
never changed one of those
how are you
myself.
keeping it clean?
Oh, my guys deal with it. I've literally, I know how to run the machine. Unfortunately, I've never changed anything. I'm not afraid to say that. I could tell you how to run it just because the guys wrote a nice description of how to run it. I wasn't there for training on it. Again, I've been focusing on the office
On
and
the
being on
business,
site,
on the
on
business.
the business, on being on site, on installs, and I trust like Joe and Nick, really my two main hands in the wood shop and finishing areas. Like they've been with me, like working with me probably I think 7 or 8 years. So they've been there for a while, and like I trust them. They just handle that part because right now there's enough to deal with. Um, yeah.
Is there something, Hayes, that you haven't built that you want to build that's just been there? Maybe a project that came across your table that didn't get approved, didn't get moved forward. Didn't? Is there something?
Oh, there's one probably every week.
One every
Like
week. Oh,
something we get like I really wanted to build this. Client didn't have budget. It was a palm tree, a chrome palm tree out of steel. So like chrome steel palm tree
the
and
trunk and everything, and the
trunk,
leaves.
the whole shebang, the leaves uplit with
Oh,
LEDs.
wow.
It's gonna look amazing. I really hope whoever builds it is gonna do it justice. I wish, but again, I don't want to pay to build it for someone.
This was for a
It's not.
backyard. This must have been for a backyard
No,
project.
it's this for a boutique.
A boutique. Okay. All right. How big of a
Yeah, a
palm tree
boutique
was
in
it?
Florida. It was, I think it was 10 feet high with a 5 foot diameter, like spread,
Spread. Yeah.
9 or 10 inch trunk.
Man, wouldn't that be like a series of knives at that point? Like
Oh,
the
it'll be cool. Yeah.
but if someone were to trip or if that were to fall, that's a horror movie,
If
I think.
that thing falls, it's a bad lawsuit,
Yeah, yeah.
and you're
It's
in the States too, so it's even worse. Litigation is crazy over there, but you
no,
need to
I'm
have a
just
good.
picturing it. I'm picturing how cool it would look, but it'd be very dangerous, man.
Well, your welds need to be strong. That's it. You
Yeah.
gotta trust your welds.
So you imagine that kind of story? You've been impaled by a palm tree. You died from a palm tree.
We almost had one for we did a bunch of hanging shards of brass, like literally shards. They're little trapezoids, and they're hanging on I forgot what it's called, clevis pins or whatever.
Okay.
But the client asked for like really sharp angles on it. I think it was like a 60-degree angle, a 60-degree angle, and it's facing downwards and it's hanging from the ceiling. And this is in New Jersey, and everything's seismic rated, so we're not nervous about it. But the GC got nervous about hey, this looks like something that will kill someone. We should just round off. So he took it upon himself and just rounded off the corners of every single piece. It was 165 individual pieces.
And the client didn't freak out that he was rounding off all these
The
points.
client was fine with it, and he told the client, but yeah, no, it's something.
You got to be careful sometimes. As much as it's cool and everything, you got to be careful, man.
Yeah. What would we have that was scary?
So every single week, Hayes, you got something that comes across the table and you're like, oh,
Um,
love to build it, but we can't.
yeah, we're building. Well, we have the plans, or we have the project. I'm still waiting for it, but we have the plans to build our first museum. It's been Yeah, all the millwork for museum. I've never done one of those. It's always been something I wanted to do because you just think about it. Someone's in there to look at art, and then all my millwork's there. It's
That's
kind of the
nice.
next the next step of it, but that's
What's
fun.
the type of museum? What are you talking about here?
It's a fine arts museum over in the States.
Oh wow, eh? That would
Yeah,
be pretty
so
slick. Yeah.
it's gonna be fun. I just can't wait. Right now they're finally closing the shell of the building. I think they're about almost a year delayed, probably, because I think I was supposed to deliver in June. I was supposed to start deliveries in June and finish deliveries in October, but that whole thing kept on getting delayed, and I think they're supposed to be closing the shell in January. So I need to go down to Buffalo. Oh yeah, that's when's Buffalo. I need to go down there in February, which is gonna be a fun trip
That'll
to
be
measure.
fun. That'll be interesting. That'll be cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you something. I totally forgot it, man.
Don't worry.
I'm trying to figure out. Is it ever get too much for you, Hayes? Like it seems like there's so much going on between clients coming out to you, you having to tender, you looking at the possibilities, you being rejected, not getting the job, you getting the job and wanting to do the job, but then it becomes challenging. You can't do the job because they don't have the budget. The workforce, the material delays, like it ever get way too much for you, man?
Uh, yeah, there's times where I just you need to turn off your phone. Like weekends, I take to myself, and that's it.
It's
And
good to hear
some
that.
nights, some nights I go back to work. Like, but I always make it a point. Uh, every morning, I'm with my daughter 6 a.m. till I drop her off at school at 8 a.m. I make sure I'm home by 5 no matter what. I stop work and need to start making dinner and do that whole thing. And then after my daughter goes to sleep, I could technically go back to work if I need to, but yeah, it depends. Or I wake up early to deal with it. It depends on the day, but you gotta make the time for that. But you also need to live and keep a life.
Of course.
Uh, Too much for me. There are days when you want to quit. I think pretty much any business owner will tell you that. Like there are days that you need to really like give yourself motivation, remind yourself what you're doing, why you're doing it. And really, it's not just you that depends on it, it's your family, it's really other people's families. Like, I have a direct impact on 15 people's families. And it's taking that responsibility and knowing that. I remember, yeah, there was one point, actually, probably, I think it was like last week. It was, do we hire two people for a role? Because there are two really good candidates for a role, and do we hire two? And then like, yeah, I could support both of them with work for the next 3 months, but like in 4 months, will I have enough to support them? And so I didn't want to take that risk. We're only hiring one for that role because that's what needs to happen. You don't want to take on more than we're able to handle or more than you feel comfortable with. But
Yeah,
again,
totally
it's all a
agree.
risk. You never
Yeah.
know.
So it never gets too well, it gets too much, but you handle it. You go with it. That's it.
You need to handle it, go with it. Like, I have business coaching was probably the best thing I've done, which is really having someone there that you're able to bounce ideas off of, support group of people that are in trenches, similar positions that really you're able to reach out to, say, hey, I'm having this issue. And like, they'll tell you they had that issue 2 weeks ago and this is what they did. It might work in your situation, it might not, but just knowing that other people go through the same shit that you go through, it's like that.
A lot of that happens in this industry. A lot of that needs to
Totally.
happen in this industry.
Yeah, having communities is huge.
Yeah. All right, man. We want to do let's do the 12 questions. You ready for that?
Yeah.
I want everybody, we're talking to Hayes here, www.hn.design, info@hn.design, on Instagram, Hayes Nulman Design. What is your favorite construction word?
Approved.
What is your least favorite construction word?
Change order.
What turns you on in construction?
Really like seeing the completed project, seeing the pieces done. It's yeah.
What turns you off in construction?
Change orders, pretty much.
What's your favorite curse word?
Fuck or go fuck yourself.
What's your favorite vehicle in the entire world?
Oh, Man. I just love a pickup truck. Not to be anything. It's the versatility. You can handle everything there.
I thought
And
it'd
the
be.
dog in the seat.
I thought it might be like a station wagon with wood paneling on it or something like that.
Oh, no, I need to keep whatever's in my storage away from my own
Life. I
life.
know. I
And so
know.
I used to have an SUV for the longest time, and then I would just throw wood in it, and it would just be full of fucking dust. Now,
I've
yeah,
been there.
pickup
I've been there. It's
is
nice to
still
have,
somewhat full of dust,
yeah, the
but
work
yeah,
vehicle and then your car, and then you get so particular about your car having dust in it. And I was like, I need an environment to get out of my environment so then I could be sane, stay
yeah,
sane. No, I know.
yeah.
I know. What is your least favorite vehicle?
Suzuki Sidekick.
Well, I remember those. They're ugly as hell, man.
Yeah.
What construction sound or noise do you love?
Oh man. Really, it's the CNC starting up. Like when it just starts, it makes like a sound. The second you click start the program, it's the best sound. I mean, shit's getting done.
What construction sound or noise do you hate?
The oscillating tool, or we call it a zinger,
A
but yeah,
zinger. I call it the sewing
zinger.
machine. I know it's just like annoying, like a really bad sewing machine.
It's so useful, but it's the worst sound.
There's got to be a way that someone's got to design to be quiet. I don't understand how they can't make it quieter. I don't know how you would do it, but
I don't know how. And like we have the loudest one, but it's great.
what profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Uh, Fuck, I don't know. Realistically, probably a real estate, some real estate agent, investor sort of realm.
Nice. What profession would you not like to do?
Accountant.
Last question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Welcome.
That's all you need to say, man. Hey,
Yeah.
it's absolute pleasure. I think we covered. Is there anything else you want to share, or little? I guess
No,
kids coming into the industry and they want to get into your shop. What can you
reach
tell them?
out. Like really, like we need more people in pretty much every trade. Like I see it everywhere. So it's like, don't be afraid to join. And like, there's a shit ton of money to be made, and it's realistically tech industry is going to be outsourced faster than manufacturing going to come back, and that's it.
I agree.
Uh,
I agree totally, man. Hey, it's
so
absolute pleasure, man. Thank you so much. Sorry for all the glitches back and forth, but all good to finally get you on the show, man. And all the best to the business. And good luck with your kitchen. And there's a lot of guys here that you can reach out and speak to about kitchens and what to do and what not to do. And please, please, for my sake, I don't want to see a white shaker if possible. Don't do a white shaker
no,
kitchen, please.
rule shaker. That's it.
Everybody, again, Hayes is www.hn.design and it's info@hn.design and it's Hayes Newman Hayes Newman Design on Instagram. Hayes, man, thanks so much, brother. I really appreciate your time, man.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. And we are out of here. Thanks, Angelina.